One of the big challenges I face in trying to sell books in the African American community is networking. And the reason why it's such a challenge is I'm trying to find customers who would be interested in buying not only my titles, but titles in different genres like African American fantasy fiction and screenwriting. And that's a major challenge. Um, when it comes down to these two audiences, it tends to be very niche. So that's a really big challenge. Trying to find people who are interested in it, and then trying to sell people on trying African American fantasy fiction, and that's a real obstacle, especially when you live in a place like I do, like the South Bronx, where you're dealing not only with people who do not read on a regular basis, but some people who have language barriers as well. Because when it comes down to living in the South Bronx, you're not only dealing with an African American readership, you're also dealing with a Latino readership. And it can be a very daunting challenge when you're trying to sell books on outside. And this is, one of the reasons why I don't do too much paperback work these days, because it costs a lot of money to try to do things like your trade shows and your book fairs. I did a Harlem Book Fair twice in 2009 and 2010. I lost close to $1,500, and I only sold one book in each event. And I would love to do other shows so I can meet people and try to expand the product. But I find that shows like your Circle of Sisters and your Comic Cons, which I really would love to do, it costs $1,500 to come in, and I would have to sell a lot of books to get a return on the investment. Now, I would love to have the exposure, but it's just a return on the investment that is prohibitive and prevents me from, pursuing those ventures. So a lot of my social networking and business networking is usually done online, and I've been doing this for the last 6 or 7 years now. And I really would like to go outside and start networking with people on the outside, because I really would like to make connections with people. I really would like to share the product with readers, and I really would like to, get gauge their interest in doing in African American fantasy fiction, and I really want to start sharing it with people on the outside. The only thing that really is prohibiting me from doing that is money, because I have been, again, out of work since October of 2008. And this kind of ties into what I want to do with the books and networking, is that, it's very hard to get, again, contacts for jobs here in the South Bronx. A lot of things these days are online, so you really can't approach a person and, talk to a manager and ask them about jobs or applications. Everything is pretty much done online. And I've tried to do, a lot of networking with people in the African American community in the past, but it's really a real it's a real there's a lot of obstacles there to overcome. And some of the obstacles I run into when I'm trying to network with people, or especially African American people, is a lot of it has to do with a lot of the attitude. I mean, people, they really don't. When it comes down to networking with other African Americans, it can be a real challenge, because some people, they have these personal preferences and things, and they don't want to, work with you based on what you have to offer in terms of credentials or skills. They start getting personal, and this is something I've run into quite a bit with people when I was networking for jobs in the African American community. It's all based on not who you know, but who you like, and it really prevents you from really getting contacts and information about jobs, because what happens is people go with who they like and not, the best person for the job. And that really has, again, it's really hampered me when I'm in trying to find a new day job, so that I can continue to network and, find connections and contacts. I found a lot of, great connections on social media, met a lot of great people, but locally it's been a lot harder for me to network. I mean, I find it ironic that I can network with people, all black people all across the country, especially black men. But here in New York, it's supposed to be the greatest city in the world, and I have the hardest time dealing with people face to face, because a lot of times you run into these attitudes, and some people, they have elitist ways of thinking. They think that if you don't go to a certain university or you have a certain experience, they don't want to work with you. Because I've run into that, on jobs that I worked at previously. Some of these African American men and African American women, they only want to refer you if you've went to a certain college, or you have a certain degree, or you worked at brand name jobs. And what I really find is like a really major obstacle is when black people find out you have your own business, they really get resentful, and that really is an obstacle to networking. You're trying to work with people so that you can expand your brand and expand your audience, and expand connections. And you're also looking for full-time work. And then what they do is some of them, they get jealous and they get resentful, and then instead of trying to help you out so that you can help them out later on, because that's what networking is, it's a reciprocal exchange. If you help this person find work someplace else, maybe somebody like me can help you, or a family member, if they have a book they want to publish, you know give them a tip on the ins and outs of it, or refer them to someone like that. But some people, you know they hear that I'm a publisher and I've published my own books, and they would start getting resentful. Some of them would start getting jealous, and they would again come at me with this attitude, and it would make I wouldn't be able to get that contact. And when you're trying to build a network, I mean, it's just a lot of challenges when you're dealing with the African American community. And other challenges that I face, is you run into other people like your pro-blacks. They want everything to be their way, and they don't understand that sometimes you have to work with people who aren't going to be your way, so that you can find connections with people who can you might be able to work with them later on and move forward. But your pro-blacks, you run into a lot of resistance, because they want everything to be on their terms and their way, and not understanding that sometimes you just have to connect with people so that you can have somebody on your side who can help you. And when you don't have anything, you need to people. You need when you don't have solid contacts outside, you really can't get help with other areas. And this is the big problem with your pro-blacks. They want everybody to, again, be their way and do everything on their terms. And all you're trying to do is get information so that you can, like myself, trying to sell books to other African Americans so you can expand your audience, or you're trying to look for work so that you can, pay your bills and do other things in the group economic model. But again, you just run into these obstacles. And another big obstacle I would run into with networking is, people who they don't bring anything to the table. They have nothing to offer, and they want to use you as a connection, or they want connections from you, and they would not have finished high school, or or they have no real concrete plan. And then it's hard to work with people like that, because they have no plan, they have no focus, and they have no direction. But then they want you to help them. I mean, somebody with a plan and a focus, maybe, yeah, you can refer them to a person, or you can, hand them a phone number, or you can refer them to information that will help them move forward. But then there are some people who, they come to you and they say that they want to do something, but then, you ask them, what do they bring to the table? They bring nothing to the table, because again, the networking thing is a reciprocal exchange, and you're trying to get information so that you can share information with others. But these are some of the challenges I face in networking, because I'm trying to do networking on two levels. One, I'm trying to find people who will buy books in the SJS Direct Imprint, so people will help me expand, get the word out about the SJS Direct Imprint and its mission. And I want to also find a full-time job so I can do things regarding publishing, improving the quality of my products. I know that there's things like Kickstarter and stuff like that, but I really want to be able to have the full-time job so that I can pay my bills and really start moving my life forward. You know, I'm trying to you know, get the foundation rebuilt. Ever since I lost my job, and because a lot of people don't understand what publishing is, that um, it's something that it takes a long time to get a return on the investment, and in that time you have other bills and expenses while you're doing these books, and you also want to do other ventures. Again, like I really want to do those Comic Cons or those shows like Circle of Sisters, and that requires cash, and because it costs money not only for the entrance fees and the admission fees, it also costs money for printing up the books, transporting the books, getting the merchant accounts and other things like that. Because most of the things I do are online, and if I wanted to, take it outside to doing, trade shows, so I can, try to get people interested in books like the ISIS series or other fantasy titles like The Temptation of John Haynes or other titles in the SJS Direct Imprint, that takes, resources, and it takes capital. And there are other things I would like to do, like, print up those barcodes so people can just click right to the link when if I were to do a trade show, and they could just download the ebook straight from Amazon to their cell phones. And I would love to do all that stuff. And I think it would be, if you're at a show, it would be very advantageous for people. But the only thing that's holding me back is, trying to find contacts and money. And when it comes down to those two things, there's not that many of it in the African American community, especially in the South Bronx. Because in the South Bronx, most people, especially when it comes down to getting information for jobs, it's very, very hard to get information for jobs, because most African American people, they're very, again, you either run into people with attitudes, or you run into elitists who want you to be a certain way, or you run into pro-blacks who want to dictate, all the terms, and they don't understand that, again, a networking opportunity is an opportunity for reciprocal exchange, and you have to be very diplomatic. What you want to do in a networking situation is, maybe this guy isn't doing things the way you want them to do, but maybe he has valuable information you can use later on towards another goal that you want to pursue. So having that contact may be able to help you in the future. And this is something that many people in the African American community just don't understand. That yes, you may not agree with this person's mission, but they may be able to help you achieve your goals later on. Same thing with book sales. That person may not really like that genre, but maybe there's something you can learn from reading their work, or maybe they have a style you can use for a writing project, or maybe they have a skill like I have with screenwriting and novel writing and nonfiction that can help you later on. And this is something that it's hard to sell to people in a social situation, because explaining these type of skills, because a lot of people do not understand the value of a writer. They don't understand what a writer has to offer a business, because a writer has a lot to offer a business. Because if your communications in writing aren't strong, then it's going to be hard for you to do business. Recently, I got some notices from my landlord that that he sent out, and they were just so poorly written. He didn't put the address down properly, and people were getting lost. And that showed me, the power of having a good writer. A good writer is going to be able to explain information in a way that is simple and easy to understand. And people don't understand what good writing is. A good writer can, be the difference between a person feeling comfortable about a situation, or a person becoming very upset about a situation. If you word things properly, maybe you can persuade people to see things in a different perspective. And this is something that a lot of people just don't understand regarding writing, and they just think writing is a skill that you take for granted. But no, writing is a very, very powerful skill, and it can really help your business expand. And a lot of people just don't know how effective a good writer is at conveying information and selling products to the public, because this is something that I do every day with the SJS Direct Imprint. And this is something I've done on other jobs, like when I was working at AmeriCorps Vista for the Strive program. Um, the writer has a very, very important job, and the writer, you know, they they have to be able to sell people. They have to be able to create copy that compels people, and they have to really get people interested in trying products or giving a product a chance that they wouldn't have given, and that's all part of sales, and that's another part that people don't understand about writers. Writers are salespeople, and we do selling every day, and we do the hardest job of selling in writing, especially if you write in unique genres like I do, like African American fantasy and different types of African American fiction. It's a hard sell. It's the hardest. They're the hardest books to sell. So yeah, I have a lot more experience in those areas, and I really want to expand my audience and share with other people. And again, the only thing that holds me back is lack of networking opportunities, because I live in the South Bronx. There aren't that many people who are in the books or in the writing in this area. And the other thing that holds me back is my lack of employment right now. I'm looking for a full-time job. If I could find something that allows me to do writing, that would be great. But I'm looking for other jobs as well. Um, Something that will help me pay these bills. And if I can find something like that, that would be nice. And if I can find something that will allow me to do something relating to my A+ certification in PC repair, that would be great too. Because I have several years of working with this Dell laptop that just recently died. I have like 4 or 5 years working with that computer. So I do know my way around PC repair. I have A+ certification. I have a college degree. I have a plethora of different skills. Over 20 years of writing experience. About 6, 7 years of publishing experience. I have published not only published my books in my SJS Direct Imprint. I have published ebooks, helped a national best-selling author publish her ebooks and get them to the market. I helped an author named Lawrence Cherry get his books to the market, and I helped another author who was at my college get her book to the marketplace. So I have a lot of experience in publishing, digital publishing. I've published over 50 books in my 6 or 7 years of self-publishing. I've done everything from page layouts to cover design, and lately I've been networking with different artists so that I can, do covers like the ones you see featured back here in this ISIS series, and the ISIS East Team crossover. Those I had to network with an artist and negotiate a price, and lay out specs and things like, and get the book put together. And I had to do this all on a schedule, because when I'm working at SJS Direct, what I'm doing is I have books that come out throughout the year now, um, and each book is scheduled to come out at a certain time period. Um, this year I released ISIS Night of the Vampires and East Team Undercover um, in June. In was it June? I think it was. Yeah, I think it was June, and so I could get to the summer reading audience. And I also released the second edition of Stop Simpin', Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance. That was also released on Smashwords as well. And all those books had to come out at a certain time of the year, so that I could reach the reading audience when they were available, when they were ready, because summer is one of the biggest parts of the reading season. This holiday season, I'm going to be releasing a new novel. Spinsterella is going to be coming out in Halloween, and I've been working on the revisions on this book for the last couple of months. And this was a book that I started last year in 2014, and that shows my turnaround time regarding books. And with other books that I did, like ISIS Night of the Vampires and East Team Undercover, those books, they were planned in December, and they were edited, and covers and all that stuff was laid out for June. So that's about a 6 month turnaround time. But on nonfiction, usually I can do it in about 90 days. Stop Simping, the second edition, I literally wrote the entire book all over again. I just decided to just start the whole book all over again. I had the notes, I had the research, so I literally rewrote the book in 90 days, and the book was released and now has over 68 Facebook likes and had some decent sales in June. So um, that's part of what I have to offer people, and that's part of one of the reasons why I'm looking to network with people outside of the online world. I'm looking to expand, my audience. I'm looking to expand um, my readership, and I'm also again looking for a full-time job. These are the skills that I have to offer people, and I'm looking for networking opportunities and job opportunities that will allow me to expand my craft, develop my skills, and not only grow as a writer and a publisher, but as a businessman as well.